How did one 20-year-old conquer most of the known world? Without cars, planes, or even gunpowder. This is the unbelievable journey of Alexander the Great. Imagine leaving home, walking more than 20,000 kilometers, crossing deserts, mountains, and rivers, fighting hundreds of battles, and creating one of history's largest empires, all before turning 33 years old. This is the story of Alexander's incredible journey. Our story begins in ancient Macedonia, over 2,300 years ago. Alexander wasn't born into an ordinary family. His father was King Philip II, the man who transformed Macedonia into the strongest military power in Greece. Alexander's mother believed he was destined for greatness. From childhood, Alexander trained every single day. Sword fighting, horse riding, strategy, leadership. His teacher wasn't just anyone. It was the famous philosopher Aristotle. Alexander learned science, history, medicine, and geography. But one story fascinated him more than any other: the adventures of Achilles from the Trojan War. Alexander dreamed of becoming a legendary hero himself. He didn't want to rule one kingdom. He wanted the entire world. Everything changed when Alexander was only 20. His father was assassinated. Suddenly, the young prince became king. Many people believed he was too young. Several Greek cities immediately rebelled. It was their chance to escape Macedonian rule. Alexander reacted with incredible speed. He marched his army south. City after city surrendered. One city refused: the city of Thebes. Alexander destroyed it almost completely. The message was clear: no one would challenge the new king. Now, his eyes turned east, toward the greatest empire on earth, Persia. In 334 BC, Alexander crossed the Hellespont into Asia. He had around 40,000 soldiers. Ahead of him, the Persian Empire stretched across 3 continents. Most people thought defeating Persia was impossible. Alexander thought differently. His first battle came beside the Granicus River. The Persians waited on the opposite bank. Alexander didn't wait. He charged straight through the river. Against all odds, his army won. City after city opened its gates. The journey had truly begun. Alexander kept moving. He rarely stayed anywhere for long. Every victory pushed him farther east. Then came one of history's greatest battles, the Battle of Issus. For the first time, Alexander faced the Persian king himself, King Darius III. Even though the Persians greatly outnumbered him, Alexander attacked directly toward Darius. The Persian king fled the battlefield. His entire army collapsed. The impossible was happening. One young king was defeating the world's greatest empire. Not every victory came easily. One city refused to surrender: Tyre. The city stood on an island surrounded by water. Its walls were enormous. No army had ever captured it. Alexander came up with an unbelievable idea. If he couldn't reach the island, he would build a road to it. His soldiers carried millions of stones into the sea, day after day, week after week, month after month. Finally, the road reached the city. Tyre fell. Even today, that man-made road still connects the island to the mainland. Alexander marched into Egypt. Instead of fighting, the Egyptians welcomed him as a liberator. They even declared him a pharaoh. Near the Mediterranean coast, Alexander founded a new city. He named it after himself, Alexandria. It would later become one of the greatest centers of learning in history. Even today, Alexandria remains one of Egypt's most famous cities. But Alexander wasn't finished. He wanted Persia itself. The final showdown came at Gaugamela. Darius gathered an enormous army. Some ancient writers claimed hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Alexander had only a fraction of that number. Once again, he searched for the weakest point, then charged straight through it. Darius fled again. This time, his empire collapsed forever. Alexander entered the magnificent city of Persepolis. The capital of Persia, the richest empire on earth, now belonged to him. Most kings would have stopped. Alexander kept marching. Across deserts, across snow-covered mountains, across modern Afghanistan. Finally, he reached India. There, his army faced something they had never seen before: war elephants, huge animals covered in armor. The Battle of the Hydaspes River was one of Alexander's hardest victories, but his exhausted soldiers had reached their limit. After years of constant marching, they refused to go any farther. For the first time, Alexander had to turn back. The journey home was even more brutal. Thousands died crossing harsh deserts. Then, in Babylon, Alexander suddenly became sick. No one knows exactly why. Some believe it was disease. Others suspect poisoning. At only 32 years old, the greatest conqueror of the ancient world was dead. His empire stretched from Greece to Egypt to India. After his death, the empire quickly split apart, but his influence remained. Greek culture spread across 3 continents. New cities flourished. Ideas traveled farther than ever before. More than 2,000 years later, people still remember one name: Alexander the Great. Not because he lived a long life, but because in just 13 extraordinary years, he changed the world forever.